Ladies and gentlemen, the Anglo-Italian pod is back. I'm Tommaso. I'm joined, as always, by...
Rory. It's a bit early. I'm still waking up, but we're glad to be back. Welcome to the Anglo-Italian pod. And today we're going to be discussing all things Euro 2020 ahead of the final round of fixtures. It's all getting a bit tense for some teams more than others. I think some teams are pretty relaxed at this point, but I'm definitely not in that camp, unfortunately. Tommy, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Just let's do the plug right now. You can always find us on Instagram at Anglo-Italian Pod and on Twitter at Italian Anglo Pod. I'm in vacation mode right now. I'm visiting my family in southern Spain. That's where my mom and her and my grandmother have moved. It's definitely beautiful. I'm sponsored by Puma, just like my national team. I'm rocking sunglasses because the sun is blasting on my eyes, but talking Euros, I'm feeling very good about my team. We're going to discuss everything in detail. We're going to break down the picture in every single group, the teams that are already qualified to the next round, the teams that have struggled unexpectedly. But I have to say that it's been a fun tournament. What did you think, Rory?
Mate, I've been loving it, absolutely loving it. I think I said it on every appearance I've made so far, that on different pods, that my favorite period of life is being in the group stages of an international tournament. You get 3 games a day. I'm like running back from work with the game on my phone, the first game, get home in time to watch another 2 games. It's incredible. I love it. And I think, to be honest, this tournament hasn't really disappointed. I think it got off to a bit of a slow start. The first few games, there was no goals in the first half, and people were like, oh, is it going to be like South Africa 2010 when it's just 1-0s all the time? But I think since then, we've had enough like mental games to keep it interesting. The Holland-Ukraine game come to mind, the Portugal-Germany game yesterday. There's been plenty of games with plenty of goals. So I think so far, it's been a great tournament. And yeah, I'm loving it. What about yourself?
Yeah, it's been, so I was driving from Milan all the way to Malaga. So I've been on the road quite a bit. And then, however, I have to thank the boys at ourmatchhighlights.com. If you guys are looking for a good website to see extended highlights, that's definitely where you should go. 20 minutes highlights, very good clipping. So that's what I recommend if you're looking for a good website. But let's talk about Group A, since tonight at 6 p.m. already qualified Italy take on Wales. And tonight at the same time, Switzerland and Turkey are going to play each other. I apologize if there is a bit of wind in the background, but it was the best spot where I could set up my mic and all that. So Italy, I have to say that we were saying it yesterday when we were on the live stream on YouTube with our friend John Sinclair. I was very underwhelmed by the opposition in Group A. Mm-hmm. I definitely thought that Switzerland, but especially Turkey, would put up more of a fight. And Turkey, with 0 points after 2 games and 0 goals scored. What do you make of this team, Rory?
Well, it's been a huge disappointment, right? A huge disappointment. Now, regular listeners might remember when our good friend Kamal came onto the preview show talking about Turkey's chances. He said he was confident, but their warm-up games hadn't gone too well, and their manager was under pressure. They'd suffered a few losses. So maybe we were all a bit premature with the dark horse shout. But even so, for a squad of that quality, you'd be expecting a bit more threat up front. Players like Cengiz Under, Burak Yilmaz, of course, fresh off winning Liga and with Lille. For them to offer 0 attacking threat is a genuine surprise. I think, especially as in the first game against Italy, I understand why they were so negative. I understand why they were negative. I don't understand why they were so negative. They didn't even attempt to have an attack. And then once Italy scored the first goal, I always say that it's impossible to shift from like ultra defense to attack. Once you've set your stall out like that, you can't shift those gears quick enough to change the game. So I think from the start of that game, Turkey kind of screwed themselves by just being so defensive. And then in the game against Wales, as good as Wales were, and they were very good, Turkey were absolutely terrible. And their midfield was nowhere. Their defensive midfielders were unable to protect the defense. And Soyuncu, we all know how good he is in the Premier League, but he can't do it himself, right? And I think their performance as a team has just been incredibly, incredibly disappointing. And I'm sure the media in Turkey are reacting in a calm and mannered response towards that.
And I think you've got a student of yours who's watching us right now, Filippo. He's saying, hello, prof. Not one of my students. Well, I don't think it's one of my students. Or maybe it is. Well, Filippo,
yeah, cool.
reveal yourself. Who are you, Filippo? But let's start from this game. Switzerland-Turkey tonight at 6 p.m. Central European Time. It's a must-win for both teams. Switzerland have managed to collect only 1 point, while Turkey have got 0. What do you think is going to happen in this game? I think it's going to be quite a bit of a fight.
I don't know if either team have, they could pray that things go their way and they can finish as the best third place team. I think for Turkey, that's pretty much impossible. Switzerland could maybe do it, but their goal difference of -3 kind of puts pay to that. I'll be honest, they'd have to have a big swing against Turkey for them to be considered, for them to make that kind of threshold. But I think, look, if they're playing for, it's that time of the tournament is playing for pride, right? And I think Turkey have a bit more pride to play for as they're sat on 0 points. I don't really expect much from this game. I think, having watched both sides, neither of them inspired me too much. I'm going to say a Turkey win, but that's just come into my head. I have no reason to believe why that would happen. But that's just how I feel.
Yeah, and if we think about national pride, I think that Turkey have slightly more than Switzerland. So I think that Turkey might actually come into this game wanting to win it, absolutely, because finishing a tournament with 0 points and 0 goals scored will be unprecedented. I want to say Steve Cole, 1984, our customary listener, is saying that it will be a draw. They are equally terrible. But question mark is over the biscotto between Italy and Wales. So in Italian, the cookie, the biscuit, or as we call it, the biscotto, is when you kind of agree with the other team on the final result. And so this is what I think Turkey and Switzerland are worried about. Roberto Mancini said that it's not even crossing his mind, that Italy want to win every game. And as I've said extensively over and over again, I think it's just stupid to think of doing another team a favor. This is a very short tournament. You don't want a drop in concentration at any point. And definitely, like, finishing the group as first with 9 points would be a huge statement. So it's definitely going to be an interesting game. But before we talk about Italy, what about Wales? We were also saying that there is a chance that all the UK countries in the tournament might make it to the round of 16. That would be quite exciting. And also, it would be the first time, I want to say, that happens. Scotland, Wales, and England all to the round of 16.
Yeah, I think Ireland let the side down massively. I know it's not the UK, but home countries, right? Ireland massively let the side down in the last time they qualified for the Euros. But I think Wales have now kind of got something to play for. It's weird. A British journalist has tried to stir the shit and has framed a question to Mancini in quite an awkward way. And it's made it sound like Mancini has compared Wales to Stoke City. Now, that's not what he did. The journalist asked him, do the team remind you of Stoke City? He said, Wales have a few technical players, but they can be quite physical like Stoke City. Now, that has been reported to Gareth Bale as Mancini has compared you to Stoke City. What do you make of that? Gareth Bale turned around and said, I didn't realize Stoke City were that good, which is a very good answer. But I feel like there's just this journalist trying to get let's try and get some antagonism going, and maybe it will work. I think it could be a really interesting game. I said it the last show I was on, that I think Wales are going to be Italy's biggest challenge they've had so far. Now, if they stick with the defense of Bonucci and Chiellini, I'm not sure if they will. I think Bastoni might get a start. But with the pace in Wales's attack in that front three, it could be the first time that defense has stretched in terms of pace, and and we'll see if they'll be able to handle an attack like that. Because obviously, as we've said, Turkey offered 0 up front, and Switzerland offered slightly less 0 up front. So I think Yeah, it could be a big test for Italy, and I think Wales are definitely like tasting blood. I think they can. They think that they can get something here, and I wouldn't be surprised if they got a draw. Yeah, Andy, you're right. I reckon Wales could get a sweaty draw tonight. I could definitely see it. I think Ramsey is going to punish all the Italians that have been laughing at him all season as he gets a goal.
Yeah, he's been taking a few chips off his shoulder, Ramsey, saying that he never got the chance that he hoped he would at Juventus, and so I think there is also that. Andrew is saying that our friend Andrew on the chat is saying that Wales might get a sweaty draw. I like the sweaty draw thing. It's definitely going to be a good game, also because we've said already yesterday during our live stream with John Sinclair, this is going to be the opportunity for Mancini to test a slightly different starting 11. Italy have got plenty of options at midfield. I think that few players need rest. Maybe Jorginho himself, who's been kind of our key at midfield. It's kind of unsure whether Verratti is fully fit to play yet or not, but I think this could be a good game to try and start Castrovilli. Rory and I are huge fans, a Fiorentina player. He wasn't in the Euro squad until Lorenzo Pellegrini had to come back because of a muscular injury, which was kind of sad because I would have loved to see Pellegrini perform. Sorry about the motorcycle in the background.
Someone on a moped?
Yeah, guys. Inside the house, it would have been worse with all of my family speaking. But I'm very excited to see how this team can change up a bit. I think that there is going to be a switch in the defense as well. Bastoni should get a chance. But I've also been very impressed so far with Italy for our fullbacks, Di Lorenzo and Spinazzola. Spinazzola especially, he's been recorded already as the fastest player in the Euros so far, touching, I believe, 34 kilometers per hour. And when you think that, I would have to say, I would have to see what the speed of Cristiano Ronaldo yesterday in the Portugal's counterattack, because that was quick as hell.
Yeah.
But definitely, could we say, Rory, that Italy have been the most consistent and the prettiest side overall so far in the tournament?
Yes. Now, obviously, this is going to sound really biased, as with the Anglo-Italian pod, but I think they have been by far the most impressive team. I know people are saying they've not faced proper opposition, but we've covered this as well. These were two teams that pre-tournament were considered dark horses in Turkey and Switzerland, and for Italy to dispose of them so easily, I don't think anyone saw that coming. As I said before, Italy, traditionally very slow starters to the tournament, and I think they play a very non-typical Italian type of football. It's not just scoring one goal and waiting for the opposition to die of boredom. It's actually kind of pushing and trying to get that extra goal. And 3-0 in 2 games is incredible. And as we've seen, the pre-tournament heavy favourites, France, were unable to get 2 wins, right? So I think maybe what Italy have done has been underestimated. I think it's been a great start. The only thing I hope is that they don't do a reverse and start quickly and end slowly, as opposed to start slowly and end quickly. But I think any team that draws them is going to be kind of taking a deep breath and thinking, what do we do here? They're going to be a threat to any of these teams. Obviously, we've said their midfield is arguably the best in the tournament, and the fact that Verratti might not be able to get into it is absolute madness. And then the front three, like we've all had our doubts about Immobile and Insigne, even though against Turkey in the first game, he was a bit Switzerland in the first. Was it Switzerland in the first game? Yeah.
No, Turkey in the first game.
Yeah, even though he was quite wasteful against Turkey, very wasteful against Turkey, he still got the goal, and Immobile has got 2 goals in 2 games. So I think the front three is really, really a threat, and Berardi obviously has been getting a fair few assists. So I think, any team would be terrified of them. I definitely wouldn't want England drawing them at this point. Our record against you isn't great anyway, and I think this year you would absolutely batter us.
I was trying to figure out what could be the matchups in the round of 16, but I get a headache. I'm not good at calculating.
I'm gonna have to look at the tree.
There is a big chance that if Italy, guys, I'm sorry, we've got chainsaw action, scooters, mopeds in the background. That's Spain for you. But I think if Italy qualify first, it's very likely that we will face Ukraine in the round of 16. The last time we faced Ukraine, off the top of my head, I want to say it was in the World Cup in 2006. We won that game very comfortably, 3-0. I remember the goals, Zambrotta and the brace by Luca Toni. That was a great game, great memories. But the other thing that we said yesterday with our friend John Sinclair on YouTube that I said is that I think that Italy are kind of forced to make a statement in this tournament, because I don't think that there will be a chance in the World Cup next year or in the next Euros. Italy's youngsters, we've got a good generation of youngsters, but it's not as convincing as England's, France, for example. So I think it's very important to try and really give it their all in this tournament right now, Euro 2020. And the other thing that is funny is that Italy tend to thrive when there is a bit of like, I don't know, negative talk around the team, while this group of players seems to be extremely, extremely united. They don't seem to get any type of distractions from all the transfer talks. Well, the biggest one is Gianluigi Donnarumma, who's leaving AC Milan just to go pursue a big bag of money in Paris, because that's the only reason why he's going there. Definitely not for the history of the club or anything like that. But even that, like I've been seeing a bunch of Instagram stories from the Italy players. They're always joking around AC Milan players with the Juventus players, Inter players with Juventus players. So it's a very good. It feels like a good squad to be right now. And praise also to Mancini. Mancini, kind of a controversial coach. He's always been kind of a prima donna whenever he was coaching club teams, but I think he's been doing incredibly well, and his scouting talent for youngsters has really shown. And I think that this team is overall, I can't really find a weakness in Italy's team, and not so like. The defense is very solid. Bonucci and Chiellini have got a shit ton of experience. Chiellini even scored a goal, was disallowed. The midfield...
And then injured himself immediately in the celebration. I think that's the weakness, right? The fact that they're like 37 and 36 between them. Like, I think that could be the weakness. The fact that one of your best centre-backs pulled his hamstring celebrating is definitely not encouraging, I would say.
Wait, I didn't understand Andrew's comment. If Italy were let loose against Tyrone Mings, I might as well open the vodka and end it. Can you explain it to me, Rory?
Well, you know Tyrone Mings, right?
Yeah.
He's our defender from Aston Villa. Yeah, well, neither me or Andy are convinced by the fact that he's an international defender. And Andy, I might follow you in that case with the... we can split the bottle of vodka, right? It'll help us get through it.
So,
yeah,
guys,
I think
if you're friends of the pod, you know that we are famous for wrong predictions. So, Rory, wrong predictions only. Italy, Wales, who's going to win it? What's the final score for the game?
Are we going wrong or are we going right? I think I'm going to say
you have to try to go right, and then we get it wrong.
Try to go right,
that's
then
what
it'll be
we
wrong.
usually do. Yeah.
I'm going to be brave and say Wales sneak it 2-1. Italy take their foot off the gas a little bit.
Sorry?
I'm going to say Wales sneak it 2-1. Italy take their foot off the gas a little bit.
Ooh, I'm going to go with Andy for the sweaty draw. I'm going to go for a very messy 2-2. That could be. Yeah, I don't know. I tend to be quite pessimistic all the time, but I would be very impressed if we got another win. But a sweaty draw 2-2 could be good. Switzerland, Turkey. This one could be interesting, Rory.
I'm going to go, well, I said before Turkey win, didn't I? So I'm going to stick with it. Turkey win. It's going to be a terrible game. I'm going to say 1-0 Burak Yilmaz penalty.
Wow, all right. You're really trying to go wrong, huh? With the details and everything. I'm going to say Switzerland win 2-0 with a goal by Arsenal legend Granit Xhaka, also known for the dumbest fucking haircut in the entire Euro 2020 competition. What do you say, Rory?
When Phil Foden does it, it's cool, but when Xhaka does it, it's not. Is that how this works? I think that's how it works, to be honest. I think that's how it works.
I don't know. It kind of looks right on Phil Foden, but on Granit Xhaka, it just looks dumb as hell.
He's right. Look, I'll do a quick 30 seconds on Xhaka. He's desperate to leave Arsenal, right? When players want to get noticed at international tournaments, what they do is they dye their hair because you stick out on the pitch more. And it's genuinely, it's been studied. Scouts notice you more because you stand out on the pitch. I think that's what Xhaka's done. He's dyed his hair so more teams notice him and he can finally get out of Arsenal. Honestly, Granit, good luck to you because I think your days are numbered. We're getting Camavinga, so we're moving on.
Let's move on to Group B tomorrow. Tomorrow. Why did I say it like that? We've got at 9 p.m. Finland, Belgium, and Russia, Denmark. Rory, who has been the most convincing team in this group, in your opinion?
I think quite easily Belgium. I think Belgium behind Italy are like the kind of most impressive team across the tournament so far. Obviously, this group hasn't been much of a there isn't much of a challenge there. Obviously, the tragic events that took place for Denmark have really kind of taken their tournament off the rails, as you would imagine. Because you would think without that happening, they would probably be giving Belgium a bit more of a push. But I think Belgium are going to. Well, they've already qualified. They're going to stroll through, and Russia will somehow find themselves in the final in the knockout round, I think, and they really don't deserve it. They're not a good team. We've talked quite heavily about Juba up front being their only threat, and Miranchuk from Atalanta, who had a beautiful goal in the last game. Golovin is their only real creative player, but they've not beyond that. They're even worse than they were in 2018. In 2018, they only got there because it was the home crowd. If you know what I mean, I don't think the team are that good. Whereas for Belgium, we've seen. Now, you said for Italy, you can't really see a weakness. For Belgium, I can see a massive weakness, and it is the centre backs. Between Alderweireld and Denier in the last game, or if they want to go for Vermeulen, or if they want to go for Vertonghen, they are all old as fuck. And I think this is where Belgium can be got at. So I think any team would be afraid of their attacking talents, because then you go to the midfield and attack, and you've got De Bruyne, Tielemans, Witsel, Lukaku. You've got like the name Hazard. It just keeps going. But I think they're definitely gettable at the back. But they've made quite light work of this group, right?
Also, Denier was terrible in the game against Denmark. He miscalculated a pass, gave the ball away, and then didn't even mark the forward that he is responsible for the first goal. And I was shocked by the first 15 minutes of that game. Like, Belgium could not get 4 passes together. Their defense was terrible. And with all due respect to Denmark, they've got some big names, but without Eriksen, even, like, they're not that big of a threat. But they were making light work of their defense. Mm-hmm. But then, when you, as you were saying, when you look at their offensive options, it's unbelievable. And shall we say it right now? Is there like I don't know, a discussion for Romelu Lukaku possibly winning this year's Ballon d'Or?
Whoa. I think Belgium would have to do something incredible for him to qualify for the Ballon d'Or. Look, he's had a great season in Italy. He's had a great season in Serie A. He was one of the players that delivered the Scudetto to Inter. But I think, look, he's been very good, but there's a few players ahead of them. I think ahead of him. I think Kante would still be ahead of him. I think what you could pay, the biggest compliment you could pay for Lukaku at the minute, and I said this on the Hopeless Wanderer pod, I think, was that he is the in-form striker in the world at the moment. I don't know if he's the best striker, but he is the striker in the best form at the moment. And I think that's why Belgium will be feeling pretty confident, because you saw the 2 goals against Russia were basically just him. And then the first goal, the equalizer against Denmark, he was just like, right, fuck this, we're going to get an equalizer, and just ran through the defense. So I think we've seen that he is on a mission, but I think Ballon d'Or is a bit of a stretch just yet.
Yeah, the one thing that I was, Steve Cole is saying that Ballon d'Or is just a popularity contest, and I kind of agree with you. But one thing that I've actually been impressed about is the Man of the Match award. It's been right most of the time, and like, usually in the past, we see it also in the national leagues. Sometimes it's just given to the guy who scores 2 goals in a game. But here it feels like there is actually some thinking done behind like giving the award. And the fact that, they gave it to Lukaku, didn't even score a goal. He didn't even have an assist. But they could, if they had been lazy, they would have given it to Kevin De Bruyne. But if you look at the full 90 minutes of play, you're like, you cannot not give it to Romelu Lukaku. That second goal, I love the commentary that said he holds off defenders just for fun. Man, that play was incredible. It looked, we were talking about in our WhatsApp chat, it looked like a basketball play, like keep the ball, draw the defense toward you, look for the open man, and then all of a sudden Kevin De Bruyne is all alone and does what he does best, just like rocketing the ball to the back of the net, and that was beautiful play. Finland Denmark is tomorrow night at 9 p.m. What did you make of Finland so far? Not great football in my opinion.
I feel like, now obviously this isn't the biggest tragedy of that day, right? But there's enough sympathy to go around. I feel really quite bad for Finland that their first ever game in a tournament was a win, and it was overshadowed by obviously the horrific things that happened to Christian Eriksen. Now, I'm not saying they're comparable. I'm just saying for Finland, it's a bit of a shame. And in that game before that happened, in the game, Finland were actually doing quite well against Denmark. They were holding off on the counter. They were doing okay. They've got a few decent players. Glenn Kamara has really stood out, and I think a Prem move is quite possibly incoming for him from the SPL. And Poyampalo looked really lively. Pukki, look, he's their main focal point, and he's been a bit off the boil. So I think they've been doing okay, and I think they can go home and like hold their heads up high. They've got 3 points. They've scored a couple goals. They really got close to scoring against Russia, but it was offside, unfortunately. So I think they've done okay. I think people expected them to be worse than they have been. And I think they're definitely hard to beat. They're a team that are hard to beat, but they're not gonna. This will be their last game in the tournament, I'm pretty sure.
For who? Sorry,
for Finland.
For Finland, yeah. If Denmark win the game against Russia, there might be a chance. They would have to score a bunch of goals to qualify as one of the best thirds. Kyle McKayan is saying, sorry for the pronunciation of your last name, Mukian. He's saying Denmark to beat Russia and find a way through to the knockouts. We'll see. I also think I love the Euros. While in the World Cup, Rory and I are big fans of geography in general. While in the World Cup, there are like these fun games between like Iceland and Nigeria, and you're like, when would these two nations ever meet? In the Euros, the thing that I like is like to think of the history between countries, and like this group is pretty intense. Like Finland and Denmark, they are neighbors, and I don't think they love each other. Finland has also got a completely different language from Danish, Norwegian, and the Swedish. It's like the odd one out. But at the same time, Finland was invaded by Russia in World War II.
They do not like each other either. Like in Russia and in Finland, that was reported as a derby. It was like in Russia, they were like, we cannot lose to Finland. It cannot happen. Like it was, I think people didn't realize how big a game that was. Yeah.
Finland is one of those countries like Poland who really had it like worse than anybody else. They got both the Russians coming in and breaking their balls, then the Nazis coming in and breaking their balls. So I think that like if they're nationalist countries, there is a reason. Like they've been through a lot of heartbreak. But yeah, Belgium already qualified to the next round. They are going to take on Finland. I think that game, wrong predictions, Rory. I think this one is difficult to get it wrong though.
So we have, sorry, I'm just getting the games up now. We have, who is it? Sorry, Russia, Denmark, Finland, Belgium. I'm going to say Belgium make light work of Finland. That's going to be a 3-0 probably. Russia, Denmark. I'm going to go with, I like Kyle's prediction. I think Denmark are going to beat Russia and give themselves a chance of, getting to the knockout rounds. I think that is a massive shout. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think that the fact that Denmark have got only 0 points right now is kind of underwhelming. Of course, the Christian Eriksen thing weighed a lot in this performance so far. He's arguably their best player. He's their captain. He's their number 10. And besides, like his position in the pitch, like I think from an emotional point of view, it was something very heavy. And I think that they should win this game, even if they won't qualify as the best third. They should win it for Christian Eriksen and for their nation. They've been playing all the games in Copenhagen. They haven't won any single one. And Rory, I think that there are a bunch of your students logging on.
I can see there's a few names popping up in the chat where I'm like, oh, I recognize that surname now. Hello, Joe. How are you? Are you okay? All right, good.
Guys, so it's 11 of you watching us. Some of you already follow us on Twitter and Instagram and on YouTube and on Twitch. If it's the first time watching us, click on those buttons We need big numbers. And that was Group B. Let's move to Group C. Macedonia, the Netherlands tomorrow at 6 p.m. And then we've got Ukraine, Austria. What did you make of the Netherlands? The Netherlands, for the first time in a tournament, after missing out on the last Euros and on the last World Cup, I don't think they played the most convincing football so far. But hey, 6 points, already qualified to the next round. What did you make of the mighty Orange?
I couldn't tell you what their tactics are. I could not tell you what their attitude is, what their kind of mindset is, or what the game plan is. But they've won 2 games, and you think, okay, fair play. Against Ukraine, they really did their best to throw it away, going 2-0 up and then managing to snatch a win in the end. Dumfries has really impressed me. He's been outstanding as the wing back. He's been really, really good. Look, I think in the knockout rounds, when they come up against serious teams, I think not many teams are going to be worried about it. But they've been in a group that, obviously, here's another wrong prediction from me, in a group where I said that they wouldn't qualify for the knockout rounds. They've won both games and done it comfortably, so you can't really argue with that. I still think De Boer shouldn't really be in the job, and he's a very lucky man.
Yeah, you guys talked about it in the preview show for the Euros, the big De Boer mystery. How the fuck did he get that job after failing so bad at
everywhere?
At Inter, then where did he go in England? Where was he?
He was at Palace, and he played 8 games, lost every single game, and didn't score a single goal.
Nice.
But they've also been helped by the fact that no other team in that group has really impressed that much. Austria have been a massive disappointment, like they always are when they qualify. North Macedonia, they've been brave, they've been plucky, but just not quite enough. And I think Ukraine, to be fair to them, have been very impressive. They were unlucky against Holland, but I think with the other 2 teams not really turning up, I think it was it flatters Netherlands that they've got 6 points. Let's just say that. What do you think about them? Despite me wearing their shirt today, right? I've only just clocked that I am actually wearing a Holland shirt. Yeah.
I was going to say, I have to say that, Steve Cole is saying, sorry about the wind, Holland will guarantee goals at both ends. True. It's a bit like Belgium. Maybe the fact that their neighbors influenced them. But it's, for me, man, it's just beautiful to see Holland in an international tournament doing well. It's one of the teams that I just love their shirt. I just love the culture that they have. I've been to the Netherlands multiple times, not only in Amsterdam getting high. I've been also in other places getting drunk, and it was a fun time. I love the Dutch, and it's beautiful to see them there. I don't think they will push until the end, but hey, once you make it past the group stage, it's like a coin flip a little bit, If you have a right game, you can find. If you have a streak of good games, all of a sudden you find yourself in the semifinals, final. So it's good for them. They're there, definitely backing them. I think the game against Macedonia tomorrow, it's going to be very, very interesting because Macedonia, they've been kind of unlucky. Like they've got 0 points, but they still managed to score 2 goals. Their defense is definitely not their. It's definitely not their strong point. But Ukraine on the other side, Ukraine have been doing pretty well, and they love reading the scoreline. It's always Yarmolenko, Yaramchuk. It's kind of nice, to rely on those 2 guys in every single game.
I think there's a lot of West Ham fans wondering where this Yarmolenko has been for them. I'll be honest, but that first goal they scored was an absolute beauty. But there's a lot of decent players in that Ukraine team. We talked about the fact that a lot of them come from Dynamo Kiev, so they have that kind of squad unity already. The players like, now I want to get the names right, Shepelev has been really, really impressive. We know how good Zinchenko has been and how good he was for City in the Champions League. I think, Ukraine are one of the teams that I think could, if they get to the knockout round, now the chances are they could get Italy, which means that's unlucky for them, right? But I feel like they could still put up a real challenge. And if the draws go a different way, they could find themselves getting to the next round. I really think they are a very, very good team. And Shevchenko is coaching them in a really great way. They're playing nice football. They're not just sitting back and waiting for the game to end. They're kind of protagonists in the game. They try and get the goals. They've got some good attacking talent. I think a really nice team to follow, and I've been definitely impressed by them. Definitely.
it's beautiful to see Shevchenko on the sideline. And one thing about Shevchenko, I've always, despite being an Inter fan, I've always, envied him. Like, I've always envied AC Milan for having him as a striker. But he's also always struck me as a very smart person. And while we've seen, like, some managers, I'm not going to make their names, but for example, Pirlo, like, jump to the coaching job without any experience, I think that Shevchenko really, like, studied hard and earned his position as Ukraine's manager. He's a country legend, definitely beautiful to see for their people, but beautiful to see for any football fan to see that he's also performing as a manager. And he's arguably the greatest Ukrainian player ever. And for that team to be coached by him, I think it's a great source of pride and motivation going forward. So, Rory, what do you say? Macedonia, Netherlands, final scoreline, only wrong predictions.
I'm going to say Netherlands win, but Macedonia and Pandev definitely get a goal. That Netherlands defense is, as Steve said, they guarantee goals at both ends. I'm going to say Pandev gets another goal for his country to become the only scorer for them in the European Championship. I think that would be fantastic, but I think Holland will win that one fairly comfortably. What about yourself?
I don't think so. I think that Macedonia are going to get a win. 2-1 win for Macedonia.
We can hope so.
Braced by Pandev. And then Ukraine, Austria. What do you say? We haven't talked about Austria. Kind of.
Do we have anything to say about them? I don't have anything to say about them. Apart from Arnautovic being the angriest man in the world and Alaba just desperately trying to drag that team somewhere on his own. I just have, like, I think... on the Hopeless Wanderer pod, I described Switzerland as like the wallpaper beige team. I think Austria like a more extreme version of that. Like, they're just nothing. I don't know. There's nothing to get excited about there. Their shirts are terrible. I don't know. I just think, look, thanks for turning up, but they always do it at the Euros. They turn up, people think they'll do all right, and they just fall so hard. So I think Ukraine will beat them in this game. I think. So they definitely don't have enough to get past them.
Yeah, don't forget that Arnautovic is a Champions League winner with Inter Milan in 2010. And
he will not let you forget it. Don't worry about it. He had it written on his boots or whatever, didn't he?
Dude, I don't know, but it was so funny. He was the loudest player celebrating. Like, I wasn't at the San Siro, unfortunately, that morning, on the morning of May 23rd, 2010. But apparently at a point, like, the players, they were like tired, drunk. Like, Zanetti lifted the cup and like he left. They all left the pitch. And then apparently Arnautovic comes out of the pitch with the Champions League running around.
Not played a single minute. Brilliant.
Yeah, never played a single minute. But it was also very funny because like everybody was like down with the banter and everything. But at a point, like, apparently it was too much. And the reason they're interviewing Maicon, he's dead tired. Like, he's played the Champions League final. He's won it. They've been drinking. It's like 6 a.m. He just wants to go to bed. And he's trying to have a serious interview. And Arnautovic comes from the back, like clipping his ears or something. And Maicon just turns around and just like, get the fuck away, dude. Like, enough is enough. Like, stop it right now. It's not funny. Like, you're a fun dude, but like, this is enough. Yeah, I don't think Austria will qualify. But however... they could be one of the best thirds. Does it depend on goal difference, Rory, or on?
I think it's points and then goal difference of what they settle. What they're settling it on. I've just done the same as you, Tommy. I've tried to look through that tree, and I took 30 seconds, and now my head hurts. So it's like 1F, 2E, 3C, and it's just trying to match it together is very, very difficult. My brain isn't quite awake enough for it yet, but I think it is goal difference and your points. So maybe they could do it, but I think whoever they get, they'll go through against Austria. I really haven't been impressed by them at all.
So right now that we are halfway through, Rory, we've got a few questions from your students. Hi, Rory. How are you? And
I'm good, Barella. Thank you. Yes.
What do you think about FIRE?
It's great. Love it. Next question.
Why did you leave that? Why did you leave?
Are we doing this live, Tommy? Can we just move on to football, please?
Hey, by the way, guys, I'm teaching. I was teaching at FIAS this year too, so I replaced Rory basically. But the Anglo-Italian pod.
Here we go, taking over your local school in not a dodgy way. Not a dodgy way.
Great, but okay. So Rory, we are halfway through. Group A, Group B, Group C. Who have been the most impressive players in each group before we break down D, E, and F? So Italy, Wales, Switzerland, and Turkey. Who was the standout name?
Okay, I'm going to do this quickly. I'm going to say Locatelli.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I want to say Locatelli as well, because that brace and that, man, especially that volley with the left foot to open up the pitch for Berardi. And Berardi, guys, Berardi is the other guy. Berardi has been waiting for this moment patiently and silently for a very long time, and he's been delivering. Let's go to Group B, Finland, Belgium, Russia, and Denmark. Standout player?
Lukaku.
This Lukaku.
Is so predictable, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah, but also Kevin De Bruyne, the way that he got into the pitch, and I think it's a very brave decision to start without Kevin De Bruyne and then just like bring him in when the situation is getting a bit dire. He walked in and completely changed the game. Group C, Macedonia, Netherlands, Ukraine, and Austria. This is a kind of a tough one. Who would you say?
I'm going to say, because I'd never really seen him play before, I'm going to say Dumfries from Netherlands. Or I'm going to say Shepelev from Ukraine. I was really impressed by him as well.
I would say Yarmolenko just because I don't know. I like Ukraine, and I don't know. I think he scored 2 goals in 2 games. It's kind of big. And in like Memphis Depay, I think I'm finally starting to buy into him. Like, I think he's a very good player, but man, he had an incredible miss in that game, in the last game that they played. Like, you cannot miss a goal like that. But let's move on, because Tuesday we've got Group D. And Group D, it's Croatia, Scotland, Czech Republic, and England. But before we talk about what's to come, Rory, you owe some explanations as an Englishman about that game versus Scotland. What the fuck happened?
Southgate got it so wrong. He just got it so wrong. It's weird because now the Croatia win is seen through a completely different lens, right? It's now seen as the laboured win that it was. Whereas at the time, before we played Scotland, it was like, okay, professional, 1-0, we got the job done. Now it's like, actually, we were pretty like pedestrian in that game, and now we've been pedestrian against Scotland. And is this going to turn around? Look, he went for the Rice-Phillips combo in midfield again, which worked really well against Croatia because the Croatian midfield gave them time. The Scotland midfield absolutely dominated ours, and I think what we needed was a more creative midfielder there. Now, whether that's just taking Phillips out and bringing in a player like Bellingham, or even taking Rice out and bringing in a player like Bellingham, I think we needed that creative spark in midfield, someone who was able to get their foot on the ball and dictate play. We just didn't have it. The performance was so uninspiring. There was no moment of real excitement. There was when John Stones hit the post with a header, which he really should have scored. But on the balance of the game, Scotland definitely had the better chances. They definitely had the better performances. And I've been moaning about it on the boys' WhatsApp this morning. We've all been moaning about it, saying Gareth Southgate's inability to change a game once it's not going how he wants it to is really infuriating. There are players on that bench that were crying out to come on, like Sancho. He has been killing it for 2 seasons in Germany. I don't know what he has to do to convince Southgate that he's better than Sterling, because he's better than Sterling. He just is. So I just don't know how or what he has to do to get some minutes on the pitch. He takes off Kane. Now, Kane has been awful in both games, right? He's been anonymous, barely touched the ball, barely had a shot. So I understand why you might take him off. But when you need a goal, just have 2 strikers on the pitch. Bring on Rashford for someone else. Don't take off the golden boot winner in the Premier League when you need a goal, even if he hasn't been playing great. I just think it was a bit of a weird move. We're trying to get a goal. It's not the end of the world to have 2 strikers up front. You can even have Rashford playing off Kane, but it just seemed like Southgate is so allergic to trying to attack that it's just getting really, really frustrating. He told Shaw and Reece James basically to not go forward. There was no attacking threat from them throughout the game. They were far too concerned with dealing with Robertson and Tierney, who both had great games, but Reece James, we've seen in the Champions League, is more than capable of defending and attacking in one game. I think he was told by Southgate to just play conservative, keep back, We saw nothing from either of them on the wing, and I think it really, like, England were just terrible. And I think there's a big inquest now. Look, I think you could argue that the most impressive team in this group so far has been Czech Republic, and we've got them next. Like, Patrick Schick is the joint top goal scorer in the tournament next to Cristiano Ronaldo with 3 goals. We know how good Souček has been in the Premier League. We know how great Soufal has been in the Premier League and how great he's been in this tournament so far. I think Czech Republic could definitely cause England problems. And if we don't get a win here, people will be kind of calling for Gareth's head. And we'll still get through the group, right? We'll still get through the group, but we're not in any great form. Like, if we get through, let's say we draw against Czech Republic, which I could definitely see happening, we're coming through with a win and 2 draws going into a knockout round where we could face one of the teams from Group F, which is going to be probably, well, at this rate, it could be anyone, but either France, Germany, or Portugal. Do you think we're going to get past them in this form? Like, there's no way. So I think it's really not great. We need to finish top of this group. All this crap about, is it better to finish first or second? It's better to finish first. For your confidence, for your momentum, we need to finish first. Slow tempo and lack of chances hampering Kane as well of his lack of form. Definitely. Like, we were unable to get the ball to him. He was dropping too far deep because those chances weren't being created for him. It's just so disjointed. And for a team that I would say arguably is the best generation of attacking talent in English football history, in how much attacking talent we've got there, for it to be wasted by Gareth Southgate at this point is pretty frustrating. Very frustrating.
There was a very funny Twitter post by this Italian football page. It's 3 guys. They've become super famous in Italy. They also have a show on the radio. They're kind of doing what Rory and I wish we could do on the national Italian radio. But they just posted on Twitter after full time. They said that to all those who didn't fall asleep, what a great game! Exclamation point. And it was just like, really, I was just, man, I was telling Rory yesterday, I was like, I haven't had the chance to watch many games for 90 minutes, just like 5 or 6 so far. But that game, I went out, I went to a bar, I sat down. I'm in southern Spain. You can imagine the quantity of English people that there are. And I was just like, all right, Tommaso, don't check your phone. You're going to watch 90 minutes of football. Let's go. Man, the first half went all right. The second half, at a point, it was just like, dude, they're making it very hard on me. And the thing, praise to Scotland. I have to say, praise to Scotland. Scotland knew that to get a draw, they would have to play a very messy game at midfield. And Southgate and England completely bought into that. They completely got the bait, and it resulted in an extremely boring game, in my opinion. Like, I would want to see like how much of the time would spent like in the 20 yards around the midfield. It was incredible. But also the capability of Scotland players to intercept the passes from England's players was incredible. And about Kane, yeah, I don't think it's that much of his fault. Like, the chances weren't being created. He was dropping back, but like a good forward at the same time has to drop back. And then when the play starts, you fucking go back in the box. While Kane was like just coming back and then kind of like, I don't know, like moving slowly around there without creating any threat. But man, also, do we want to talk about Jadon Sancho? Like, why is he not getting his chance? And Southgate only had 2 substitutions. He could have.
Yeah, you can use 5,
team.
Gareth. You know, you're allowed to make 5 substitutions in this tournament, right?
Like, I mean, they've got, together with France, I still think that England have got one of the best squads on paper. Like, use it. Make a few changes at halftime, not at the 60th, 70th minute. That's not going to change anything.
I think there's this thing there's this thing of when English players play abroad, they basically have to play for Real Madrid before they get in the England team. It's mental. Like, the only one I can think of is McManaman and Owen, who were picked for England while they were playing for Real Madrid. It's almost as if the English think that every other league is terrible, when in fact the Bundesliga is easily one of the most competitive leagues away from Bayern Munich, right? All the teams below them are of very good quality, very competitive. And Jadon Sancho has been killing it in that league for 2 years. I saw the stat of 138 goal involvements in 179 games in his time in Dortmund. If that is not if that's not enough to get you in the England team, I don't know what is. As well as that, when he has played for England, he's done very well. And in that game against Scotland, he was exactly the type of player that needed to come on. He's between the lines. He can beat a player. He's got that spark of inspiration that can get a shot away, get a through ball. He's what Sterling used to be, but better. And I think for him to not get any minutes was absolutely mind-blowing. But then, yeah, there's plenty of players there. We've talked about it, like Bellingham. You can even bring on Calvert-Lewin has had a great season. Like, there's plenty of players that you could bring on for just something different, a bit of fresh legs. Replace a wing back, tell him to get forward, whatever it is. Like, there was plenty of opportunities for Gareth Southgate to affect the game there. And I think if the Scotland players had seen 2 or 3 players like Sancho, Bellingham, and I don't know, Chilwell coming on, they might have been like, oh crap, okay guys, sit back, and it might have kind of changed their mentality completely. I think he just missed a massive opportunity to affect the game, and ultimately is kind of, no, it's not the end of the world, we can still qualify. Kyle's just said second in Group D, he plays second in Group E, so that would probably be Spain or just looking now, Spain or Sweden probably, which you would think, I don't want to play Sweden again. We always bloody play Sweden. So maybe, yes, maybe finishing second is better on paper, but I think we just need to concentrate on winning the bloody group.
Yeah, well, let's talk about we work at everything from an English perspective. We've got a comment from Andrew McBride. McTominay played well at centre-back for Scotland, starting to feel he should do this for United. I was very, very impressed with a few players from Scotland, one of which was McTominay. Man, I don't know. If you looked at the close-ups to the faces, English players looked a bit intimidated, and the Scotland players were just there for a mission. And that point for them is crucial. So what do you make of Scotland as a team? Because I think they've got a chance to advance, probably.
Yeah, I think they could advance. I think, look, this is one of the best Scotland teams they've had in a long time. They've got a lot of, or quite a bit of, like Premier League quality. They've got Shea Adams, Robertson, Tierney. You've got Gilmore, who had a great game against England. McTominay. They've got the start-ins or the makings of a decent side there. I think they're coached pretty well by Steve Clarke. He got his selection wrong in the first game. I think he wasn't brave enough against Czech Republic, where they could have been a bit more proactive in that game. John McGinn as well. Sorry, just the names coming to my mind. But I think they've got a chance to get through for them. That would be a great achievement. Obviously, probably as like the third place team. But I think, it's one of the best Scottish teams we've seen in a long time. And there's a few players there I do like, particularly Gilmore for Chelsea. He is a special player, and he was like dominating that midfield against England. Considering he's very, very young, that was his debut in a major tournament. He was absolutely running it. So I think, fair play to Scotland. They'll be delighted with the draw, and they should be, because as much as I'm supporting England, there's a lot about the English press and the English support that really pisses me off. And if I was a Scotland fan, it would piss me off as well. So I'd be rubbing it in every English person's face I could see, because if they decided to play that Euro 96 goal one more time, I think as a Scottish man, I would blow my brains out. Like, it must be infuriating playing against England. I can only imagine.
Yeah, especially when Gary Neville throws dabs at Italy, as soon as they're gonna find a good opposition, they won't have it in them. Yeah, try to beat Scotland, you retard.
Based on what as well? That sentence annoyed me. It was just, they won't have enough. Okay, go on then, justify what you're saying. Where is the weakness? How is this? Usually he's very good at this, Neville. He's one of the best pundits in the country, and for that,
I was disappointed for that, because I have a lot of respect for Gary, but now I was just like, you're I don't know, for free, you're just saying something that it sounds like you're scared, buddy. But,
exactly.
This group is super close, because I think, and it's so the Czech Republic are first with 4 points, 3 goals scored and 1 conceded. England are second with 1 goal scored and 0 conceded. Croatia are third with 1 goal scored and 2 conceded. And Scotland are fourth with 0 goals scored and 2 conceded. Now, the situation is super open. And who's been the most disappointing team in the group? I think it would have to be Croatia, to be honest.
Yeah. I think. Look, we all knew that this Croatia squad was an aging squad. I don't think we thought they'd miss Rakitic as much as they have. Kovacic is a great midfielder, but he's just not quite capable of doing the job that Rakitic did for that team. I think, they've definitely been the biggest disappointment. They've got no real attacking threat up front. Their strikers just can't really get a shot off. So I think they've definitely been the most disappointing, even if we do take England into consideration.
Yeah, I was very, very, very underwhelmed by Croatia's performance, and it was kind of disappointing after seeing what they had done in the last World Cup, what they had done in the last Euros, and all the talent that they've got. They've been quite disappointing. Only one goal scored in 2 games, and going to take on Scotland. It's going to be a tough game, because if there is something that Scotland can do very well is make it hard for the opposition. So the last team that we've got to talk about in this group is the Czech Republic. Would you have expected them to be first in the group after 2 games?
Not even slightly. I think we know that they've got some good quality players there, but you never know what you're going to get from Patrick Schick. We've talked about it, the fact that he goes to Roma in a big money move and it completely doesn't work. He then goes to RB Leipzig, right? No, he went to RB Leipzig, where he did quite well. So it's kind of been up and down for Schick. He's been injured a lot recently, but he's done really well for them. They've got Souček, they've got Soufal, they've got a lot of decent players. So I think, maybe they were the team that we should have been saying dark horse. I definitely didn't see them being this good. Against Scotland, they made Scotland look pretty stupid, and not just for that second goal. They made them look pretty average. So I think, fair play Czech Republic. They will be a troublesome. They'll be a troublesome side to face, regardless of who it is.
That goal from midfield, baby!
What a goal!
That was fun.
What a goal!
Fun. It was a rocket, dude. It was just.
It's the bend on it. It's the bend that he hits it with. Like the photo from behind him when he hits it, the goal is like here, and the ball's heading this way, and then somehow it just ends it. It was a beautiful shot.
Yeah. Beautiful. So, Rory, Croatia, Scotland. Wrong predictions only. Final score?
Scotland 2, Croatia 1.
Ooh, all right. Interesting. I'm going to say it's going to be a sweaty 2-2. No, 1-1. I'm going to say a sweaty 1-1. God, these predictions are going to be so fun to listen to. And then, Rory, Czech Republic, England. What's going to happen there?
It's coming home. We're going to beat them. It's going to be 3-0. Gareth Southgate's going to start Sancho, Bellingham, Rashford, Kane, Calvert-Lewin, all of them. We're going to play a 2-8, and we're going to beat them.
All right. What's the final score then? The Czech Republic, England.
I don't know. I'm going to say, I don't know, 3-1 England. That's definitely not happening.
I'm going to say 1-0 Czech Republic, dude. We shall see. We shall see. This is a very tight group, but I think that looking at the points, this could be one of those groups with the best third in it. Because everybody's got a point. There's nobody with 0 points. Czech Republic and England with 4. Croatia and Scotland with 1. We shall see. These games from Group D are going to be played on Tuesday. Let's move on to Group E. We've got Slovakia, Spain, Sweden, and Poland. I've got to say that of all the times that I could have been in Spain for an international tournament, I find myself here at possibly the worst time ever in the past 10 years. This team is underwhelming, to say the least. There is nothing exciting about it. And the Spanish, like last night, I went watching the game outside. It was full, packed with people watching the game. They tend to be still very excited about their national team, but as soon as you talk to them about it, they're just like, don't tell anybody, but we suck this year. Like, it feels like they haven't fully prepared for the exam, but they still decided to take it. Like, all right, man, I'm just going to wing it. Let's see what happens. Man, the game last night was not that impressive. I think Poland actually deserved more than Spain did.
Yeah, I think, look, there's been quite a lot of finger pointing at Luis Enrique now for his squad selection, not selecting the likes of Sergio Ramos and a few other big players that have missed out, and selecting people like Sarabia and these kind of random players that you think, really, is this the best that Spain have got? I don't really see it. They were awful last night. I think Poland definitely deserved to get more out of the game. And it's kind of, there's a few teams now that we've thought they were in between generations. Like Germany are in between a generation here, but they showed yesterday that they're able to still put a performance together. I think Spain are in between generations and they are not able to put a convincing game together. Against Sweden, Sweden just kept them at arm's length pretty much. Like it was for a 0-0, it wasn't a terrible game, but like Spain were really, really uninspiring. And again, last night, Poland definitely could have had more. Definitely could have had more. Poland should have had a penalty. I'm still standing by it. Poland definitely should have had a penalty last night. I just think I talked about it on the Hopeless Wanderer pod, but I think
sorry, I don't think that penalty for Spain was a penalty because the ball was already gone.
But yeah, he'd already kicked the ball as well. I got so angry at that. I got so angry.
And guess what? The referee was Italian. Woo, big surprise.
Orsato, was that his name? Orsato?
Yeah, Orsato, whatever.
But yeah, I think they were just, you can pass the ball 2,000 times if you want, or 5,000 times, but if you're not going to create a chance, what's the point in any of it? Like, and I just think like this, they're going to have to move on from tiki-taka at some point, and this is probably the tournament where they realize they have to move on from it. I think they could. Who do they have in the last game? They are going to be playing Slovakia. I think Spain could find themselves, as Kyla said here, they could find themselves not going out of the group stage at this point. Slovakia have been pretty impressive.
I agree with you. And there is nothing that I see about Spain that they don't look like a team. Like while Italy, like their strength is that they look like a team. Spain just look like a bunch of dudes that were put together, but there's no clear idea on how they're going to score a goal. There is no clear idea on how they're going to control the game. It just looks, everything is just like, let's see how the game goes, and then we kind of improvise. And then, I mean, yesterday they also had a penalty, and man, he got the post, but then Morata, dude, what the fuck? You're a striker, dude. Like, I don't understand that. Like, if I did that with my friends playing football, I would get stick for that shit for so long. And I just think that it's also like the lack of on conviction that you have on your means to actually hurt your opponent. Yeah, the Morata miss from the penalty was hilarious. Yeah, and it's not even, you know what's even more hilarious, Steve, is that it's not his worst miss. He's had way worse than that. But yeah, what about Poland? Poland, our friend Adam was pretty happy about last night's result. What did you make of it, Rory?
I was so happy. Like, as listeners will know, I have quite a few teams that I support in tournaments because having lived in a few countries, there's a few that I have an affinity for. I lived in Spain and I have absolutely no affinity for that team. I hope they lose every game. But for Poland, I really, really do like them and really do want them to do well. I was really impressed with their performance. It was so much better than the Slovakia game. I think Paulo Sousa got it right this time. He started players like Moder, who's like a really exciting young player. Jozwiak was really good. Lewandowski got his goal where he literally bent Laporte over, which was great to see. I think Poland were just much more proactive in the game. They were much more aggressive. The pressing game was great. And they created a fair few chances. I think they really, I couldn't help feel like you should be winning this game. But Poland will be really happy. That's a big result. Drawing with Spain in a major tournament, that's huge. And now Poland go on to a game against who are they playing in the last game? Sweden, which is definitely winnable. We know how Sweden are going to approach the game. They're going to try and get a draw. That's just what they do. So I think if Poland try and get on the front foot early, with a player like Lewandowski, he's now got that first goal, which means that kind of duck is off his back, if you know what I mean. He can finally push on and try and get a few more. I think they could definitely beat Sweden, in which case they find themselves in the knockout round. And that'd be huge for Poland. So this manager's only been in charge for 6 games. Like, it is all kind of, it looks like it's maybe coming together. That performance was outstanding last night.
Yeah, and I have no love for Spain, but I've got to say something. I did watch the entirety of the Sweden-Spain game, and I felt bad for them because Sweden set up the biggest fucking trap ever. You don't want to find a team who are that determined to not play football in a game of football.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I was like, man, that's unfortunate. But at the same time, if you are that good of a team, you find a way in the end to score a goal. But that was, man, the final 20 minutes of that game were ridiculous. Like every ball, there was Isaac up front on his own, and like every ball, it looked like Barley's sky ball, except like nobody was getting it. Just like boom, kick the ball as far as you can, but boom, further, dude. It was terrible. Yeah, whenever somebody plays that trap on you, it's not that nice. But Sweden are first with 4 points. Slovakia are second with 3 points, 2 goals scored and 2 goals against. Spain are third with 2 points, and Poland are fourth with 1. Who's going to make it through this group, Rory?
I'm going to say that Poland get a result against Sweden. And I'm going to say that Slovakia beat Spain. So that would say that Poland. It would be maybe Poland get through in third place at that point. But I'm going to say Slovakia, Sweden top 2. Is that what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so too, and I think I agree with the prediction from Kyle. I think Spain are going to be out, and they deserve to be out, because I just think, look, when the situation is looking so bad, it's probably better to just like get out of the tournament, sit down, and think about the future of your squad, because I think that it could be just a bigger heartbreak for Spain to go through and then just get absolutely hammered by the majority of teams that they could encounter. I haven't checked who they might encounter if they finish second or first, but I don't think the Spain team has got much to say in this tournament. So Slovakia, Spain, Rory, wrong predictions only. What's going to be the final score?
I'm going to say Slovakia 1, Spain 0.
I'm going to say 1-1, maybe. And Sweden, Poland?
I'm going to say Poland 1, Sweden 0. I don't think any of them are going to be classics, but I think they'll get the win.
Yeah, I think Poland is going to win like 1-0. They're going to squeeze in Lewandowski goal. But finally, Group F. We've got Germany, Hungary, and Portugal, France on Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Did we witness the game of the group stage so far last night, Rory?
It was definitely, yeah. I think the only one, again, that I kind of springs to mind is the Ukraine-Holland game, but I think this Portugal-Germany game had more quality overall than that game. It was absolutely mental. Germany started the game so well, just couldn't score. Then Portugal, with their first attack, obviously Ronaldo scores. It looks like Germany are going to throw it away. Germany then raced to a 4-1 lead where they're just robbing Gosens. Right, Semedo, right? I have seen him play 2 full games, and it was for Barcelona against Bayern when it was the 8-2 or whatever it was, right? And then that game yesterday for Germany. How he could consistently just not mark Gosens and not get dragged off the field by his manager and just pummeled is beyond me, because he did not learn the lesson. And Gosens, who Serie A viewers will know, is a very good wing-back, just tore them to pieces. He got 1 goal, 2 assists, and got man of the match, right? It was an incredible performance, but Semedo made it very easy for him. I think Portugal were all over the place at the back. I saw a few Arsenal fans on Twitter going, wait, are we watching Arsenal against Germany here? Like, what's going on? It looks incredibly like our defense. They were awful, but they still managed to come out of the game with a bit of credit with 2 goals. But that's mainly just Ronaldo just dragging them, right? That guy,
what a beautiful goal. That goal, he cleared the ball from the box and then passed it and then just followed the entire play and then easy tap in. That was a beautiful goal. That's why he doesn't drink Coca-Cola, I guess.
Yeah, well, it definitely helps. It definitely helps him, I would say. But there was a funny moment with Ronaldo where there was a free kick. Now, we all know he's terrible at free kicks, right? It's 50. He hit the 50 landmark in European Championship penalty free kick mark without scoring a single free kick. There was one where there was just one man in the wall, and he managed to hit that one man, which was brilliant. But he also obviously showed great moments of quality. The making Rudiger look pretty stupid by looping it over his head, then a back heel pass was beautiful to see.
Oh, that was pretty as fuck.
Something you don't often see from Ronaldo. It was a bit of skill that wasn't aimed towards going towards goal. If you know what I mean, it wasn't like a functional piece of skill. It was just for fun. And I think it's like something you don't see from Ronaldo often. It's very kind of Ronaldinho-esque, like let's just do this for entertainment. And I think that really stood out to me. It was beautiful to watch, but quite unfair on Rudiger, I think.
Look, I think that also like the Portugal squad know that Cristiano is done with free kicks. In fact, the majority of free kicks yesterday, it was Bernardo Silva and Bruno Fernandes on the ball, and Cristiano Ronaldo would be like the tower in the box to kind of try to get at the end of it with like because he's a tall man and he's very good with headers. But I did think that Portugal are very threatening on the counterattack, and Germany, holy shit, until they didn't score the first goals, they were caught sleeping in defense so many times. And it's not even caught sleeping like you're not following your man. It's like you are on the other side of the pitch. Yeah. And that happens when your fullbacks, they are also very offensive players, like Gosens or Kimmich. Like there were a few moments when I was just like, man, if they had been a bit more clinical, Portugal could be 3-0 up right now. But it was a beautiful game to see. And dude, about Gosens getting man of the match, should we talk about the fact that Italy, I mean, Serie A is the country who has received the most man of the match awards so far? Call it a farmers league, buddy, but I don't know. The players are there, and the football that we play apparently is not good only in Italy, because Gosens, before going to Atalanta, he was nowhere to be found in the German squad. Yeah. And I think that even 2 years ago, he wasn't in the squad, and last year they were just like, all right, we might have to consider this guy. So this is a huge praise to Serie A. We've seen Lukaku getting a man of the match award. Well, the Italy squad is all Serie A. Then we see Robin Gosens. So that's a huge praise to Serie A. And also, where does Hungary manager come from? He's Italian. His name is Marco Rossi, dude.
It's been all over the news. It was on Rai Uno yesterday. They were talking about him, like Marco Rossi making his legacy in Hungary. Hungary is another team that I have a bit of an affinity for, having spent quite a lot of time in Budapest. Despite, we'll put all the politics and stuff to aside for now. I really do like this Hungary team. They've got a lot of really kind of capable, quite impressive players, and they really took the game to France yesterday. Like, I think France, which is very unlike the French, were quite arrogant and thought they would just turn up and win the game. And Hungary definitely made it a bit more difficult than they anticipated. The opening goal was a really nice move, really well taken goal. The celebration was fantastic. Have you seen the video with the woman, like terrified, which is like, he like smashes the laptop, like, fucking what a celebration. And I think Kyle just had the statement here. Those Hungary fans are absolutely crazy. The stadium was bouncing. Yeah, it looked intense. Now, we need to quickly say, like, Hungary currently has the highest COVID rates per capita in Europe, and it's very, very irresponsible what Viktor Orban is doing. But take that apart, it is great to see full stadiums again, and France were definitely overwhelmed by the, like, home support. I think it definitely had a big part to play. Benzema was massively disappointing. He still hasn't scored a goal. There was one layoff from Mbappe, which was beautiful, like an outside of the foot layoff, and he really should have finished it, but screwed it wide. I think France, I can see, now this isn't just, maybe it is just because of that, but the arguments before the game between Mbappe and Giroud sniping at each other, stuff like that, I can see a meltdown incoming in this France camp.
I can see it coming. I didn't read about it. What was
so that? Giroud apparently said something alluding to the fact that people don't pass to him within the team. And Mbappe took this kind of fairly personally in a press conference, started moaning about Giroud and about like there's no need to say that in public, say it in private, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like these little snipes at each other. Now, obviously, Benzema once compared Giroud to a go-kart and he was a Ferrari or something. So I think there's like two of the strikers there that already hate one of the strikers. I think that I can just see a huge meltdown incoming. I don't know if Deschamps would be capable of keeping it all together, in which case opens the competition up massively.
Dude, yes, because on paper, the French squad is by far the best one. But yesterday, and I think, who's been your standout player for France so far?
I'm going to have to think. Is it just my default goes to Kante, but I don't think I've actually been impressed by him. I think maybe Maybe
Paul Pogba.
Griezmann, but I don't know.
In my opinion, Paul Pogba. Pogba has
Yeah,
been.
actually, no, that's a massive shout. Pogba was fucking ridiculous in the first game.
There is
Yeah.
this thing about Pogba to just turn up for the national team. It's like he's fit, and whenever like he wears that blue shirt or white or whatever, he's up there among like the best midfielders in
Well,
the world.
I heard someone talking about it, and I think it's the fact that he has Kante next to him, because they were saying that he's so much more free to do what he does of just spraying passes around, taking a player on, kind of being a bit more flair.
Yeah, once you don't
Like,
have to worry about that defensive role, you've got much more
exactly.
freedom
And they were
to go
saying like
forward.
if you take Pogba out of that midfield, it's still a decent midfield, but you take Kante out of that midfield and Pogba gets worse. If you know what I mean, like Pogba doesn't affect Kante's game, whereas Kante affects Pogba's game. So I think, but yeah, it's been great to see Pogba just absolutely spraying balls about and just looking like he's really enjoying his football. If you're a United fan, you must be infuriated by it. Like, fuck me, this is the player we want. But I think they haven't got the squad at United to enable him to do that, unfortunately.
And the other thing that I found very weird about France is that they kept looking for headers from Mbappé. Like, am I the guy who has to tell you that that's not Mbappe's strong point? Like, try to find another way of playing football. Like, if you resort to always cross the ball in the middle of the box and hope that Mbappé is going to score a header, it means that probably either Hungary set up the game perfectly or your game plan is not that accurate.
Well, I think
the football that France have been playing has not been overwhelming. The game against Germany was a very good game, but dude, they won 1-0 thanks to an own goal, and it was very closely contested. It was no like we absolutely battered them and won the game. It was like a draw wouldn't have surprised me.
Well, I think when we talked about the France game on the Hopeless Wanderer pod, we said that they did have like 3 goals disallowed for offside, and the Mbappe one I think shouldn't have been disallowed for offside because it was a fantastic goal. I think France definitely had the better of Germany in that first game. But I think with your point about them just pumping balls into the box, what that actually shows me, I think, is a lack of faith in the system that they're playing. Because if you've got to the last 10 minutes and you're just going, fuck it, just get the ball in the box, it means you don't think that the way you're playing is going to win you the game. Because if you did, the good teams like City don't resort to just pumping balls in the box when they're 1-0 down. They stick to the system and eventually they get the equalizer. Or they don't. They don't care. They know that the system works, right? So I think maybe that shows that the France players don't quite believe in what they're doing, or they just panicked because it was a 60,000 seater stadium full and they thought, fuck this, we're going to lose. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. There was something I want to say about France. Oh, yeah, shout out to the French Gary Neville named Patrick Vieira. Also woke up one morning and was like, oh, dude, let's do some capping on Italy. Like, let's just like throw some shade on Italy. Well, I don't think this team are going to have it in them once they advance. Why? Dude, why? Like, are we really in your head? Like, I know, dude, you were there in 2006. It sucks. Like you've got that like bitterness against Italy, but focus on your fucking team. Like honestly, I haven't heard any single like big Italian name. Alessandro Del Piero is doing like the commentary. I heard he's not very good, but at the same time, he doesn't like have bold statements about other nations. Like, oh, I think that Germany like are definitely going to lose against this team. Like he's always quite impartial and everything. There is this thing about like, I don't know, talking about Italy that like some people feel the urge to wake up in the morning and like, oh, I gotta say something bad about Italy. But dude, Germany, Hungary, if we talk about like history in Europe, this is another big game.
It always comes back to the bloody war. And I just want to notice it's not the English person who's been bringing up the war the entire time, it's been the Italian.
Dude,
right?
I'm super passionate about World War I and World War II. Like we had Germany, France, like that's a big fight. And then we've got Germany, Hungary, and Portugal, France. Now, Rory, let's focus and let's try to get these predictions right. Who do you think, let's say first, who is going to, well, Germany, Hungary, final result?
I think Germany have found their form. I think they're going to win like 3-1.
I agree. Dude, I was going to say the exact same thing. 3-1. But Portugal, France, dude.
France are going to kill them.
They are going to kill them?
I think Portugal, their way. Now, I'm massively biased because I said again on the Hopeless Wanderer pod that I do not like this Portugal team. There's something about them I really don't like. But they managed to just fluke their way to games. They never play that well. They just managed to get a goal and you're like, fuck me, they've won again. How does that happen? And I think their luck kind of ran out against Germany. I think France will do him. I think France, even though I've just said I think there's a meltdown coming, I think the meltdown is in a few games' time. I think France will beat Portugal. I'm going to say, 3-2. Do you think another goal fest? I like that. Yeah, let's go with Steve's prediction, 3-2.
I like that too. I like that too because Portugal are a massive threat. They haven't been playing that beautiful offensive football, but I think that like if they work on it this week, this game is going to be played on Wednesday. They've got today, Monday and Tuesday to prepare perfectly for this game. And I think Cristiano Ronaldo, this might as well be one of his last international competitions with Portugal. He's already broken a bunch of records, but going out on the group stage, they're going to put up a fight. It's going to be a closely contested game, but no lit clips. I don't think France going to win maybe this game, yeah, but I don't think the tournament. The tournament, man, well, before the final prediction for the
Let's do the impressive players first, right?
Exactly. Group D, Croatia, Scotland, Czech Republic, and England.
I think you have to say Patrick Schick.
Patrick Schick, I agree with you. 3 goals in 2 games. He's up there with Cristiano Ronaldo and some other big names. Group E, we've got Slovakia, Spain, Sweden, and Poland. This is a tough one.
Now, I was looking at the Slovakia squad, and one player who really impressed me, I think his name is Mac. I just need to try and find him. Where is he? Trying to find him. Robert Mack. He scored against Poland, had a really good game. I think he's been someone who has impressed me in that group.
I want to say, maybe I'm gonna go Isaac. I really like that guy.
Yeah, nice. Yeah,
considering that he's got all the weight of the all the offensive threat for Sweden's guy Isaac. So I want to say him, and then Group F: Germany, Hungary, Portugal, and France. A standout player.
I'm gonna say Gosens.
I agree with you, dude. Gosens, that performance yesterday, Germany, like if they hadn't had him, they wouldn't have won that game.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Or Gnabry. Gnabry. I know it's Arsenal kind of biased, but Gnabry's killed it in both games. It's just Germany weren't able to finish in the first one.
True. It was who was the defender who kept Pepe, dude. When he was taking on Pepe was just like about the ball every single time. Not like I would have done better, but it was just interesting to see a great defender struggle against such a youngster. So Rory, let's not make the bold prediction yet. Let's just say top 3 teams in your opinion that could get this European title. I can go first if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll go first. So I'm going to say, let me see all the teams. Well, I'm going to say Italy, not because I'm Italian, but just because the numbers and the way they've been playing suggest that they're one of the main contenders. So I'm going to say Italy, number 1, Belgium, number 2. I think that this Belgian generation, they were doing very well in the last World Cup, and they found their form, and they think they can make a statement. So I'm going to say Italy, Belgium, and then it's one between France and Germany, but none of the two highly convinces me, but I'm going to say France just because they're the best team on paper. So to me, it's Italy, Belgium, and France. Our friend Kyle is saying Italy, Belgium, and Germany. Rory, what's your take?
I think Italy and Belgium have to be in there. Of course, they have been the 2 most impressive sides. I'm going to say, I'm probably just going to go, Italy, Belgium, and France, I suppose. Yeah.
No England in there, Rory?
No. Surprisingly, no. No, not quite. I wish, but no.
But I guess that's it with our how are we gonna call this episode? The Sunday brunch show?
I've been calling it the Sunday brunch show on Twitter. So yeah.
Nice. So guys, this episode is going to be, just give me 30 minutes. We're going to slightly edit it, put an intro and an outro. It's going to be uploaded on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Our friend Steve says that the 3 favorites to win it all are Italy, Germany, and France. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Anglo-Italian Pod, on Twitter at Italian Anglo Pod, and if you're watching us now, click that button, subscribe on Twitch and YouTube. I think we will be doing another show sometime soon during the Euros.
I quite like this Sunday morning vibe. We'll try and do a Sunday morning afternoon show. I think really enjoyed it. We had quite a few viewers. Thanks for joining us, guys. You can now get on with the rest of your day. I think the kickoff is only a mere 4.5 hours away. So get the beers in.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm here with my grandma is here as well. She's on a wheelchair now, but yesterday she highly enjoyed watching the game. Portugal, Germany. I do love when like old people like clap their hands when something is fun. She was like at every goal, she was like, "Oh my god, that's so cool." And today we're gonna watch the Italy game together, so that's gonna be something too. We will see if I will be there for the episode or not. Also because I'm going to be working back in Italy, but at a summer camp in the mountains. But if I won't be there, we've got a great community that we've set up this year with the Hopeless Wanderer pod, with Steve and all the other boys. So definitely something is away. And don't forget, another very important thing, somebody on yesterday's stream said that I'm the Italian version of Johnny Depp, and I quite fucking like that.
I was waiting for you to mention it.
Dude, I don't know. It's a huge praise, but I don't see how that could possibly come to somebody's mind. That's it, Rory. Anything to say to our listeners and followers and viewers?
No, just follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. You know it's scrolling along the bottom here for you now, this way, right? So follow us, subscribe, do all those things that millennials say at the end of the video, and we will see you soon for another Sunday brunch show, I'm pretty sure. Thanks for joining us, guys.
I'm going to say something very boomerish. Peace out.
Online.